All right, you guys, in this video, I'm going to be going over daily number 3. But before we get started, I want to make sure I say this. First of all, make sure you have either an expo or a pencil and paper to be writing this down. I'm going to say this, and I'm probably only going to say this once. The answers that I write down are going to be incorrect. The reason I'm going to write them down incorrect is because I already know. Some of you will not actually listen and write these problems down. You're just going to try to copy the answers. And if you do that, I will know. I am going to be writing the wrong answers down. But if you are writing these equations down on a piece of paper or on your desk with your expo, you will get these questions correct. You also should grab a calculator. So go ahead, pause this now, get an expo, get you a little napkin or something, a little Kleenex or something to wipe your desk, and get your calculator. Because those 3 things you will need. If you just watch this and try to get the answers, you're not going to make it. All right, so I'm going to go through each one of these questions. I might go through them a little fast. And if I do, just remember, it's a video, you guys. You can pause it so you have time to actually write. And also remember, you should be doing these examples. Don't just try to watch and just get the answer at the end. Um, so if I'm going and if I'm speaking too fast or if I'm writing too fast, just make sure you pause it and catch up and make sure you're showing your work on your desk or your paper so that you can get the correct answer. All right, these equations we're going to solve with the same 5 steps that we've been using. I'm going to write those steps here, and I'm only going to write them once. Step 1 is distribute. So yes, if I were you, maybe on a small corner in your desk, write the steps down so that each question we go through, you can have them to look at. Step 1 is distribute. Step 2, we are going to combine. Step 3, move our answer. Step 4, move everything else. And I'm going to abbreviate everything else with just 2 E's. And step 5 is to multiply or divide. So once again, make sure you get these steps written down, either on your desk somewhere, on a piece of paper somewhere, because those are the same 5 steps we're going to be using for each one of these questions. All right, so number 1 gives us the following. Negative parentheses 2 minus y plus 3y equals 4x minus 1. I'm almost certain that we did some of these equations already on our daily. And if we have, just go back and see what you did for those dailies. But I'm going to work each and every one of these out. First things first, I'm going to fill in my ones. I know that there are imaginary ones in those places, so I'm going to put them there. My first step is distribute. I'm going to, sorry. I'm going to multiply the number outside the parentheses to everything inside of the parentheses. And since we have 2 sets of parentheses, that means we're going to be multiplying twice. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Negative 1 times negative 1 is going to end up being a positive 1. Y, and there is a 1 there. This plus 3y is going to come down because we did not distribute to it. On the other side, we have 4 times 1x, which is 4x. And 4 times negative 1, which is negative 4. And the plus 2 is going to come down. Step 2 is combine. So on the left-hand side, are there any terms that I can combine? Those 2. They both have a y. And then on the right-hand side, I also notice that these 2 are both just numbers. Those can also be combined. So over here, our negative 2 comes down. 1 plus 3 is 4. And over here, the 4x comes down. And negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Our next step is to move our answer. Y is already over here, so we don't need to do that, which means everything else has to move to the other side. When I move that negative 2 to the other side, it's going to go from a negative 2 to a positive 2. Now that it's gone from that side, that means we only have 4y left. We're going to bring the 4x down, and negative 2 plus 2 is just 0, so it cancels out. Our last step is to multiply or divide. Because this says 4 times y, we're going to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. We're going to divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is just 1. Those two cancel out, so we get y equals. I want you to type in 4 divided by 4 and figure out what that number is. We have done this problem in class, and on this problem, the one thing I want you to know is this. Do not leave B blank. Remember, your final answer is going to look like y equals mx plus b. When you type 4 divided by 4 in, you're going to get a number. Your m is the number in front of x. So you got to figure out what 4 divided by 4 is. That's going to tell you what your m is. For b, you got to think about it. Do we have a b on this problem? Do we have a number all by itself over here? Do not leave that answer blank. If there is no b, put 0. I'm pretty sure we've done that one in class. So if you're not sure, go back and check your exit tickets. All right, number 2. Same 5 steps, different problem. I kind of feel like I've done this one too, but that's all right. First things first, let's draw a line down our equal sign. Step 1 is distribute. We're going to multiply everything outside the parentheses times everything inside the parentheses. And there are my imaginary ones. 4 times 1x is 4x. And 4 times negative 2 is a negative 8. The plus 2 is going to just come down. 6 times 3 is 18. And 6 times negative 1y is negative 6y. For step 2, we're going to see, is there anything on the left-hand side that we can combine? Numbers go with numbers, so those two can be combined. 4x is going to come down. Negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. And we could not combine anything on the right side, so everything comes down. Next step is we want to move our answer to be on the left-hand side. Since we are solving for y, we want our equation to be y equals. We're going to move that y to the left-hand side. When I move it to the left-hand side, it's going to go from a negative 6 to a positive 6. So when I write that, I'm going to write my y. That was a positive 4x up here, so it's plus 4x. Everything else comes down. I literally just moved the y over. That's all I did. Now that we have the y on the left-hand side, everything else is going to go to the right-hand side. So I have to move this plus 4x to the other side. When I move it, it's going to go from a positive 4x to a negative 4x. I also have to get rid of this negative 6. When I move it to the other side, it's going to go from a negative 6 to a positive 6. So those are gone. On the left-hand side, we still have a 6y, so that comes down. 18 plus 6 is 24, and that minus 4x comes down. Our last step is to multiply or divide. And since we have 6 times y right here, we're going to do the opposite to get rid of the 6. We are going to divide every number by 6. That way we cancel these two out. And on the left-hand side, all we have is our y left. That's what we want. 24 divided by 6 is 4. Excuse me. And negative 4 over 6 is 2 over 3. So now, I'm going to let you rewrite it so that it looks like y equals mx plus b. Make sure that your x term goes in the front. The question is going to ask you, number 2, is asking you for your M, which is your number in front of your X. Do not type X with your answers. You're only typing numbers. And it's also going to ask you for your B, which is the number all by itself. You have the answer. You just have to make, you have your answer. Just make sure you write it with the X term in the front. Yes, you can type in fractions as your slope or your y-intercept. We've already talked about this, and I honestly think we've already done this question. So try to make sure you type it in correctly. Number 3, negative x plus y is equal to 2 parentheses 3 minus x plus 2x. Same thing that we've been doing, draw a line down our equal sign. And our first step is to distribute. We're going to multiply the number outside the parentheses times everything inside of the parentheses. On the left-hand side, everything comes down because we're not distributing. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2x. Sorry, 2 times negative 1x is negative 2x. And this plus x, my words is all messed up, y'all. That plus 2x comes down because we're not distributing to it. Our next step is to combine. There's nothing on the left-hand side for us to combine. We can't combine x and y. But if we look on the right-hand side, both of these terms have an x. Negative 2 plus 2 is just 0. That kind of just goes away. So all we have left so far is x plus y is equal to 6. Our next step is to move our answer, but our y is already on the left-hand side, so we're good. Which means everything else has to go to the other side. When I move the negative x to the other side, it becomes a positive x. So now, since it's gone from this side, all we have is y. On this problem, the one thing I want you to make sure you do is write your answer so that the x term goes in the front. I also want you to remember that when there is not a number written there, there really is. We just don't write it in math. Now, I'm going to write this incorrectly. This is not the answer. However, somebody's not paying attention and they might type this in. Once again, that is not the correct answer. I'm just writing that down. If you follow the same steps that I did on this problem, you know what your equation should look like, and you know what the answer should look like. I'm going to do number 4, and then I'm going to pause the video and make another one so that these don't get too long. So once we finish with number 4, just go ahead and play the next video for all the rest of the questions. All right, so number 4 says x minus 2y is equal to 4 parentheses x minus 3. We're going to follow those same 5 steps that we have been following. First one is distribute. We're going to multiply the number outside of the parentheses times everything inside of the parentheses. Because we're not distributing on the left, everything is going to come down. 4 times 1x is 4x, and 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Our next step is to combine. Can we combine anything on the left or anything on the right? No. Our next step would be to move our answer, which is already on the left side, so we're good. That means we need to move everything else to the other side. When I move this x, it is a positive x already. It's a positive 1, actually. So when I move it, it's going to become a negative 1. That means on the left-hand side, all I have is negative 2y left. 4 minus 1 is 3, and the negative 12 comes down. Our last step to get y by itself, because this says negative 2 times y, we have to divide to get rid of that negative 2. So we're going to divide everything by negative 2 to cancel it out. Now we only have y on the left-hand side, which is exactly what we want. 3 over negative 2 is just negative 3 over 2. Be careful when you type this into Canvas, because make sure you put that negative sign with the 3. For example, type it in with the negative 3 over the 2. Do not type it in with the negative with the 2, like that. Do not do that. It will count it wrong. Make sure you type that negative up there with the 3. All right, so back to our answer. It's negative 3 over 2x. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. Now be careful. I'm about to write the wrong answer just because some people aren't listening. They're probably just waiting for me to write the answer. Negative 12 divided by negative 2 is a positive 6. But I'm going to write negative just to see who's paying attention. So for your answer, remember, it's going to ask you what m is equal to and what b is equal to. On this problem, our m is the number in front of x, and I kind of already showed you how to write it at the top. I'm about to write it incorrectly, just to see who's paying attention. I've already shown you how to type it, right? I've already shown you that. I just want to see who's paying attention. All right, so once again, I'm going to stop the video here. For the next 5 questions, go ahead and click on the next video, and then we'll work it all out.